Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, author of Playmakers, which comes out tomorrow. Mike, thanks so much for taking some time talking to the Killer Bees and a busy time of year. How much does the news of Deshaun Watson not facing criminal charges, the news coming out Friday, how are you seeing NFL teams react to that just a few days later?
Well, I think a lot of teams become less leery about potentially signing or trading for Deshaun Watson. And we had reported weeks ago that multiple teams are willing to trade for him even if the civil cases aren't resolved. It was the criminal possibility, the potential for an indictment, felony charges, paid leave, etc., that was keeping teams at this point from making the move. But after the grand jury decided not to indict him on any charges, we saw so many reports over the weekend of teams that are interested. And I think that's the one area where the Texans and Watson have completely aligned interests. They need to have the maximum number of teams at the table. They need to have the longest possible list of interested teams. So anyone out there who may truly be interested but has been reluctant will decide it's okay to be interested in Deshaun Watson. It's okay to attempt to acquire his rights via trade, because that one reluctant team could be the team that Watson will waive his no-trade clause for and the team that will give the Texans what they want. Because it really doesn't matter who's interested. What matters is who is Watson interested in, and will that team that Watson is interested in give Nick Caserio, the GM of the Texans, what he's interested in getting. So it's not nearly as simple as the breathless reporting from the weekend. This team's interested, that team's interested, that team's interested, that team's interested. That doesn't matter. What matters is who does Deshaun want, and will that team give the Texans what they need?
Mike, and it's interesting because it's like a checklist. And regardless of whether we get to the point of teams and competition, you're seeing a lot of moves in the NFL that are allowing us to scratch teams off the list. But there were rumors out there over the course of the weekend that said he was considering waiving his no-trade clause. Why in the world would he do that when that allows him to have that extra wild card in his back pocket that he would need so that he could dictate a little bit more in any negotiations? And from a team standpoint, I've said all along, they need to get with Deshaun's camp at a certain point before this gets too deep and says, just give me a list once and for all. Who's in, who's out, who will you accept a trade to, who won't you, so that Caserio's not spinning his wheels getting down the road on a deal that will never happen because he won't allow it.
Hey guys, I want to tell you real quick about Fitz Roofing. I love the people at Fitz Roofing because they take care of Houstonians every step of the way. It starts with a free no-obligation inspection. All you do is call them, 832-521-3001. No matter what you need done, they come to you, tell you what they can do. They go back with the rest of their day. You want them to come back, you book them, and they do great customer service before, during, and after the sale. You can check out all the ways that they can help you at fitzroofing.com. But believe me, Fitz Roofing, making a difference one home at a time.
Well, it's something that I've been saying for a long time. For a franchise quarterback, a no-trade clause really is meaningless because at the end of the day, you're not going to trade for a guy who doesn't want to be your quarterback. You're not going to do it. Last year, the Bears had interest in Carson Wentz, and then it became clear that Carson Wentz wasn't interested in the Bears, so the Bears pivoted away from him. Not that Carson Wentz is a short-lived franchise quarterback, but you're looking for the guy who's going to set the tone for your organization, who's going to show up early and stay late and study film and set an example for his teammates and be a leader and hold them accountable and essentially be an extension of management in the locker room. If you have a guy who doesn't want to be there, you got a problem. And I think that for that reason, the no-trade clause is overrated. But if he would drop it, you still have that very legitimate question of, does a team really want to give up all that stuff to a guy who very well may need to agree to extend his contract, renegotiate it, et cetera? Do you really want to do all that for a guy who doesn't want to be there?
Mike Florio joining us on the HRMP guest line. So we'll put you on the spot. What's your best guess? What are one or two teams you think Deshaun's going to go to?
Well, I wrote something yesterday about the factors that Watson should be considering, and there are a variety of them: the quality of the team around him, stability of the coaching staff, the overall ability of the team to be competitive. To me, I think the Eagles make the most sense. They make the most sense because they've got a team that just went to the playoffs. They've got a coaching staff that's 1 year in. They've got a good offensive line. They've got a good defense. They're in a division where they could contend easily for the division championship. They're in a conference where the path to the Super Bowl isn't nearly as difficult as it is in the AFC. So I think the Eagles make a lot of sense for Deshaun Watson. They've been interested in the past, but Watson was never interested in them, and their interest never fully materialized the way it did for the Panthers and the Dolphins last year when it came down to those two teams. It was about 80-20 Dolphins or Panthers going into the days preceding the trade deadline. The Panthers would have traded for Watson with none of his legal issues resolved, but he wanted the Dolphins at the end of the day, and they just couldn't get it done because the Dolphins wanted all 22 civil lawsuits filed. But the Eagles have always been there. I won't be surprised if the Eagles do it. Because it was in 2013 that Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the team, said our number one priority is getting a franchise quarterback, and they still haven't found a franchise quarterback. They somehow won a Super Bowl along the way, but they're still looking for that franchise quarterback post-Donovan McNabb.